Hey everybody, Matsu here from CCS. Uh, Today we've got something cool planned. It's something that we tried to shoot for last year but weren't quite ready for. But this year, not only were we ready for it, we also felt there's probably no better time for it. Um, and tell a little story real quick, kind of show you why this event is where it is, why we chose Hope from the Heart for our charity, explain a little bit who Hope from the Heart is, and after that, I'm going to introduce our awesome guest, and hopefully we can, all have some good laughs over this, but, also recognize what is a horrible situation that some people face. But, yeah, back in 2018, I met my now wife, and I never thought I would actually, get anywhere with her. It was a relationship that started online. I was in Wyoming, and she was originally from Texas. I got told I was going on a deployment, and the last place I was going to be getting before that deployment was to Texas, which lined up. It meant I got to meet her for the first time and see how that went. It was great. Just happened to line up perfectly. I asked her to come down and meet me before I left, and she did, but under one condition, that she wanted to bring her mom and her dad if she was available, and I said yeah. Her dad ended up not being available, but her mom did. And that was the first time I met Jen. Jen is my now mother-in-law. Went through that deployment, stayed in contact with, my now wife and her family, and when we got back, we had moved to a town not too far from them and continued to live day to day until 2020 rolled around. And we had a call, and we all sat down, and that's when she told us that she had just been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and it wasn't really looking good. She'd seemed healthy on the outside. All of us thought everything was good, and when we heard it, it was really honestly a surprise to all of us. We didn't know what to expect, and we all feared for the worst. But she got to start treatment immediately because of a group called Hope from the Heart. In their local town, there had been a group that had been started that centered around a 100% volunteer group where every bit of money that they got went to people who were in need. They paid for treatments. They helped families who were in need. They made sure that nobody who was sick went without. They made sure that those last little bit, if that was the case, were comfortable. And Hope from the Heart, without question, stepped in the day that she found out and set her up with her first treatment. They didn't ask about insurance. They didn't ask about any of that. They told them, schedule it. Here's a check. Fill it out and get started on your treatment. And that treatment was the first of a few different rounds of chemo. She got healthy for a while. Still sick, obviously. The cancer didn't go away. We never went without it, but we contained it. What started out as breast cancer had traveled through her lymph nodes and it buried itself into her spine. And it hollowed out part of her vertebrae. They were able to treat the breast cancer and remove that, but what was in the spine dug in too deep for them to surgically remove. And later it traveled to her brain. And we found all this out this year during Easter. We never, we didn't know what to do. Hope supported us through this. Did everything they could. They gave us the 2020 to 2022, from the day that we found out to the day that she left us in June. We had that time, and we thank Hope for that time that we gave, because the quick reaction, the ability for them to push it back when they did and to get it stable, that's what gave us our time with her, and that's what gave me some of the memories that I look back on and remember her by. I know that there towards the end it was rough, but we continued to look at who she was after her first round of treatments, when she was able to walk and when she was able to be out there. I mean, we got a family photo done just before everything went downhill, just before Easter, when we found out it spread to her brain. And the woman that you see in those photos would not have been here if it was not for what they've done to us. They did not ask questions. They never asked to be paid back for it. They simply said, "We want you guys to be comfortable. We want her to be comfortable. Anything she needs, don't hesitate." It was not a here's a check and they left. They constantly checked up on her. Every event that they had every year, they invited her and made sure she had a seat. They want to know that the community was behind her. And that's why we've selected Hope from the Heart today. They're a relatively small group, but they've definitely made a huge impact on a lot of people and my family in general. And it's something that I want to say thank you to them for. Because I didn't know who my mother-in-law really was until we got down here to meet her. And we really got to be a part of her life. And I would have missed out on knowing an amazing person if it wasn't for them. So, any money that you guys can send goes directly to helping somebody. I posted a link that's in the description of the video. There's a pinned comment here that goes straight to them. They've worked with the local government, the Area on Aging, and Area on Aging has agreed to handle the donations for that and deposit it directly into their account. Not all of them are super tech savvy. I do know the group that we are around. Please do not poke at the website. Please don't, test any of the security there. We do not have permissions for that. I know it's tempting, but no. Today, let's try to. I'm sorry, it's a little hard to talk about this. Let's enjoy it today. We got a bunch of amazing guests today. I'm reading some of you guys' stories as I was telling mine, and honestly, I'm sorry for those who have been through this. But our guests here have got some awesome stuff to talk about, and we're by all means throw questions you guys have got in there. Let's talk about it, but let's do this really for them. Every bit of money that we get, none of it's coming to us. We've turned off monetization for this video. Don't send any super chats. If you want to give money towards this, that donation link's there. But I'd like to thank you all for being here. Thank you ahead of time for all the donations, and as soon as we hear what that full amount is that we all managed to rack up, I'm going to go ahead and send it out there. But thank you guys, all of you. For those of you who don't have a way to financially give at the moment, that's okay as well. Here in just a couple minutes, I will post a Facebook link once we introduce everybody. If you can go in there and just shower with love. Their main post, a couple ones down, is specifically their phone number of how to reach them for if you're in need. If you guys will just shower that with love, push that to the top, let people see that, give people a way to see that so they can also receive the same help. That would be awesome. I'm going to go ahead and start introducing the group. Everybody. Can you guys hear me? Yep, okay, cool. All right.
There we go.
All right. So I guess let's start off with an introduction. I mean, on my screen, it's 0 Day at the top. So, I mean, most of you don't need an introduction, but I figured just tell the people who you are, what you do, and,
Let me fix my mic. Can you guys all hear me okay?
I think so.
Okay. I go by 0 Day online. My name's Ryan Montgomery. A lot of you know me as a CTF player, but I've been a cybersecurity professional for most of my life. I recently somewhat recently, about 2 years ago, got into CTFs and decided to branch out my network using that niche. Sorry, this story, is relatable to me, which I'll get into later. But I'll just keep it at that. I need a second.
You're good.
It's all good. I switched to somebody else for now. So I can. I'll finish my introduction later.
Cosmo, do you want to jump in?
Sure. Hey hackers, it's me, Cosmo. I'm pretty sure most of you watching this should know who I am by now, but if you don't, my name is Cosmo, also known as Chris Taylor. I'm the Chief Executive Officer here at Williams Cybersecurity. We do a lot of things on education, research, and development. based around cybersecurity. And today we're trying to bring awareness to breast cancer. I think all of us here on the call, in some way, shape, or form, have been affected by cancer in some way. So we really wanted to do the stream. We did one last year, but it wasn't too. It was like our first year as a company, and we wanted to kind of expand our boundaries and do a little bit more for the community. So very happy that a lot of you guys are here. And again, if you guys have anything that you are willing to give and help donate to Hope from Our Heart, please check out the pin link that we have in the chat. Today should hopefully be both fun and somber. We're going to have a lot of stories when we talk about a lot of things around cybersecurity. And yeah, but I'll stop rambling on for now, let everyone else get a turn. Very happy to see you guys again.
Jacoby, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm Jacoby. I'm a payload developer, is mostly what I'm known for. I make a lot of different payloads for the Hack5 devices. Hacking is kind of something I've been doing for almost my whole life now. I just kind of stepped out into the scene in the last year, met these guys, and we've just been trying to make some moves together.
Blue Cape, you want going through and introducing yourself and kind of what you do and...
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, there is. Actually, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you real quick. I'm going to transition the audio source real quick. Apparently it's a pop. I'm going to fix that real quick. I'm going to talk real quick, make sure we can hear you all.
Yep, can you hear me?
Oh. Yeah. Let me reroute my Discord audio now. That's... Okay, let's try that.
Good to go?
Yeah, looks like it. Okay, now, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, thanks for, first of all, sharing your story, and everybody who's joining this stream. This is a really fantastic cause. I'm happy to be on there and help, and hopefully, it helps the charity that you're raising money for. So, just that being said, my name is Marcus. Some might know my company. It's called Blue Cape Security. I just founded it this year, but my background has been on the blue team side for many, many years. Started out as electronical engineering and then software engineering, and then 10 years ago or so made my way into security consulting, and then digital forensics, incident response has been what I was doing for many years for IBM, the IBM X-Force team. And so after all these years, I branched out and decided to do my own thing in terms of specifically in trainings and coaching services when it comes to blue team skills. So I built a forensics course, and I'm working with people on the training side of things to train them digital forensics, incident response. Yeah, that's basically what I do right now.
That's awesome. Ryan, do you want to wait a second, or do you?
Yeah, so I mean, my story is a little less traditional, similar to Jacoby's. Kind of made myself a little more public in this industry about 2 years ago with CTFs, and now I'm building a pen testing as a service company that I brought up in a previous interview, pentester.com. It's not live yet. We'll be launching in the very near future. Prior to that, I was an internet marketer, affiliate marketer that spent most of my life automating processes, and whether that be automating blogs. I mean, on the gray hat, black hat side of things when I was younger, automating black hat SEO and comment spamming and chat bots and all you can imagine. I mean, that's what I did for a living growing up, and we have being a marketer and then with the ability to manipulate I don't know the word for it. Manipulate the surface that you're running your ads on. I guess gave me a little bit of an edge in the marketing space, and then that transitioned into some more illegal things, which I could get to later if that's what you're interested into. But that brought me into the healthcare industry out of nowhere. And I just used my prior knowledge to start 3 healthcare facilities that did very well. I sold them about 2 years ago and have been buying and managing software companies ever since. And yeah, I mean it's a short version of a very long story.
That's awesome. I mean, a lot of us in here have got a decent bit of focus in specific areas and everything, and sorry, it's just cool to have a lot of you in here. To be honest, there's a lot of you guys that I've looked up to as heroes for a long time, and just want to first and foremost thank you all for being here. Honestly, it's a big thing that you guys showed up here today to help with this, and it really does mean a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I'm more than happy to be here. And I would ask everybody that is in the chat if you can go into all your Discord servers that you're in that isn't TryHackMe, because I've already blasted out links there. Just share this link everywhere. This isn't just about notoriety and talking about ourselves. This is about helping people that have some serious problems for a great organization that if you weren't here when Matsi said it, this charity doesn't take salaries. Every single dollar that they bring in goes back out to people that actually need it. So it would take you 2 seconds just to copy and paste this link and paste it everywhere. It would be appreciated by not just us, by a ton of people out there that need it.
They really have helped a lot of people. They've touched a lot of hearts. I mean, you can go through the Facebook page and see some of the families that have shared stories or the thank yous that have come from them. It's honestly an amazing group, and I'm hoping we can do some good for them tonight. But I'm not seeing any questions just yet as far as chat, so I guess let's start off with age-old question I like to start off. Where do you start? I mean, if my interest is I like computers, I want to start transitioning to security, I'm fresh out of high school, what do you guys recommend? I know, a lot of people recommend platforms and everything. Some people recommend college. Based on you guys' path and based on the people you've been around in the community, what do you guys see being the best way to go through it?
I would say, unless if you hate yourself, don't enter it at all. But, but no, I would say, honestly, the best way to start is just to start. I know this sounds weird, but you're going to gain more and more experience as you go. So start with something simple like a programming language, maybe a platform like TryHackMe, and start learning, creating, and poking around at what pokes your curiosity, trying to figure out how things work and kind of expand that hacker mindset, if you will. I feel like it's kind of very key and important. A lot of people will jump in and just want to do all of the cool stuff by skipping their fundamentals and stuff, and they won't fully understand concepts that are there. So I feel as if that's kind of a bigger issue there as well. So kind of just take your time to learn it. There's tons of platforms out there. We got Cosmodium, TryHackMe, Hack the Box. I had to get this upload, but too many platforms that are there to help you. Even TCM has been blowing up recently. I think they're having a sale right now with their courses as well. So those are all amazing platforms. And the last thing I would recommend is a community. Having a set of people or a group of people that you can learn with is honestly one
Big Cosmo. Yeah.
I know what we need to do better as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
Came back.
He's back.
Did that cut out?
Yeah, just for that last little bit. You're good.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, but basically having the community can be very beneficial. Because there are people there to motivate you. You motivate each other to kind of learn. That's why I have here with Matsi and Jacoby especially. I've been hanging out with these guys for a hot minute, and they're always motivating me to do more. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually second that with the communities. When I started, and I'm sure Jacoby, I mean, can relate. He's been doing this probably as long as I have. The communities now, compared to what they were, I guess, 15, 16, even 17 years ago. You know, it was IRC chats, AOL Instant Messenger, and you just hope that you meet somebody that had a skill set that was the community back then, and that got me to where I'm at now. Now you can just jump on Google and type in how to hack, and there's going to be a bunch of platforms that you know teach you about CTFs, teach you, that there's going to be either cheap or free learning material, and then what comes along with that is these amazing communities with people that are more than willing to help you. That's something that wasn't always the case. It was very, I guess the industry term is gatekeepers. There was a ton of gatekeepers before, and you had to kind of prove yourself to get any type of knowledge or into, like, you know, I guess for better words, it was very cliquey when I started. Now you could join not all communities, but certain communities, and say you could ask a very simple question and you'll be bombarded with help at any hour of the day. Community is a huge thing. I totally agree with that, Cosmo.
So, Jacoby, I know recently you've kind of started building up your own little community, and same for you. You've actually, specifically around blue teaming, you've started building up your own community. It's kind of cool to see that you guys really started popping up at the same time as far as, you know, attracting your audience and everything. How does that differ between, I guess, pre-existing communities starting up? How hard was it to get the people you already have versus, you know, existing platforms?
So that's a tough one. I gotta say that, honestly, I also had a lot of luck. I kind of fell into the right groups. It's just one thing that you need to emphasize for sure, like both of the people before have stated, there are a lot of communities out there that are willing to help now. You have to be willing to actually step into them and start asking some questions and not being afraid to. You know, like I was saying earlier during my introduction, I just finally did that maybe like a year ago with the new like post communities that we have now. Like back when, like when you were saying it was like IRC, AOL, you know, Messenger, that was a different time. But being a part of other communities and just being willing to share the knowledge that you do have, a lot of it for me was just that I thoroughly enjoy helping people with the knowledge that I do have. Like, it's something that I actually enjoy. I don't mind getting asked, you know, quote unquote dumb questions. If I can detect that the person I'm talking to is actually trying to learn, and like when I can see a passion in someone and I know that in my head that there's something that I can do to help them like it even more or help them further down that path. So I guess the biggest part of trying to build your own community is just actually being willing to reach out and help the people that come to you. Don't write off people. Don't think that you're better than the people below you. Like, there have been so many times, even now, just because I've been in these communities where I'm talking with people who are experts in other fields than me, and I feel like a complete beginner again. You know, like when I'm talking to Adam, who does like, you know, web app based hacking, it makes me feel like I'm like a complete noob again.
Yeah.
Just with how knowledgeable he is, and he's only 16 too. But you know, I helped him with certain things that I'm more of an expert in. I helped him get some payloads made. He's now on the Hack 5 leaderboard. And then in the off time, he'll walk through some web app stuff with me. And being able to do that with people individually and not just writing off someone just because they're new has probably been the biggest factor in growing my own community.
So, Marcus, with yours, your community still being relatively new, I know yours was really based around your course from over at TCM. How has that differed from just starting a community, say around general interest of blue teaming or red teaming or just in general? Do you? I know you have a lot of people that jump in because the course or the Discord server is recommended within the course material. But how often do you see people staying and still engaging in that community activity?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you're definitely right because the Discord channel basically just started because of the course, and I guess that's the way to start off things like by it's basically a combination of all the answers that we have seen already, like how to get into things, how to build a community. It's well, you have to help, you have to have something helpful, and you have to help people with like solving a problem. And with the forensic course that I put on the Cyber Mentor Academy, because I talked to Heath like years before that even, and then it was a pretty interesting platform for me, and I was just trying to get this knowledge out there that I've gained throughout many years of working in the field, and I just thought there's like not really exactly that out there, and I was actually planning on doing this as like hobby kind of thing, and then of course anybody who's built a course before might know how much work actually goes into something like that. And then it evolved into something more and bigger, and the plan was still the same because it's a course that is pretty affordable, but comes with a lot of contents, and I just wasn't even sure. I wasn't even on Discord before this because I just when you work in the private sector, I was like business and Slack and all this corporate kind of stuff, but I didn't even have like social media, like not any relevant profiles or anything. But Discord came up as a good solution for like as a support channel basically. But this whole thing then of course turned into more. So it's basically my full-time project now and company, providing training services because there's still much more, right? This was a pretty fundamental course that helped a lot of people, and they can get support in there. And as for your question, yes, everybody who's starting off like joins, and then some people ask questions, but you need to be engaging too. So there's a lot of people that have different backgrounds and different goals in mind. For some of them, the course is like a good step getting into this. For others, it's a really good place to solidify some of the knowledge, but they actually are way more advanced. They want to go like way further in advance in that area. So then we talk about some of those goals and like training opportunities, even with companies nowadays, where I can help them with building custom trainings and more advanced trainings. So it's kind of just a base of, hey, everybody who's interested, jump in there. Forensics course is pretty helpful if you want to do more, if you want to support more. I do have individual people like private channels in there that I use to support them throughout the training and coaching programs as well. So it's kind of like a business platform at this point, because you don't just see everything publicly that happens behind the scenes here as well. But I was more used to Slack, but then doing my own thing, Discord just came up, and I thought, well, let's try that. And this is probably one of my first kind of group calls even, so not even a master in this thing yet, but it works out. It's pretty fun. It's great.
That's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and stir the pot a little bit. Red team versus blue team. We've got kind of representatives from both the sides, some in the middle on it. You don't want to step into it?
Just trying to start a war.
I'm not trying to start a war. I'm bringing it up for a good reason. So, right now you see a lot of people who are entering into cybersecurity and technology, and the most common thing I've seen so far when it comes to hanging out in communities has always been, I want to be a pen tester. I want to be a pen tester. But you don't see as many starting on the blue team side, or even just intro to IT and everything, desktop support, trying to build themselves up. It seems like everybody's always trying to start at this one goal. In my opinion, and what I've done so far, which once again it's an opinion, it may or may not be right, and it's not one set path. I think that there is, I want to say a little too much excitement jumping into something that's so high up. I mean, do you think it's possible to start from nothing, no IT, and jumping direct into security, or do you think it really does matter to start with that intro into IT and actually building up a foundation below it?
I can answer that one.
Yep.
I'm sure we all have a separate answer for this, to be honest. I get asked to mentor people and to help people all the time. And I can say that 95% of the people that I try to help, whether they have experience or not, don't make it too far. After they get the whole hand holding stage, where I'm jumping on stream, or I'm jumping on their remote desktop to help them out with a CTF or whatever it may be. And then they go off on their own. I've seen rapid declines. It's that 5% that is that starts to I guess you can relate it to a video game or an accomplishment when you achieve something on the red teaming side. I can't speak for blue teaming, but when let's say you get root for the first time on your own, sometimes people get addicted to that feeling, and they just progress and progress with learning and research. But it takes a special type of personality trait, from my knowledge. Uh, I to answer the question though, I've taught people that know nothing about computers, like literally don't even know how to use a computer, and I've seen them do like one example is actually somebody that's on my team now. I won't say his name because it's OPSEC reasons, but he's 18 years old, and he knew nothing about any of this, and he blows 90% of the people I know current day out of the water, because he took the initiative, he took the time, and he's putting in his 10,000 hours. He hasn't put them in yet, but he's putting them in. So yeah, it's I don't think I think that having some prior IT experience or computer general knowledge is helpful, but it's not required. It's a personality trait.
Yeah, if I can kind of
Yeah.
piggyback off that, I think there's like I kind of mentioned earlier, like the hacker mindset, like kind of like that area of like curiosity and ingenuity, like that middle point right between there is like that hacker mindset, like where you want to know how things work, and you have like the most creative and outlandish approaches to like like you've seen people's payloads, you've seen Jacoby's payloads, like
Ooh.
some of these like what I mean, like there's people what people are doing are so like foreign on ways to attack a certain system or stuff like that. Even just like the whole concept of Hack 5 tools, like the USB rubber ducky and G cable, right? Um, it's so creative, and I think that kind of falls back down to like that quote unquote foundation. I think foundation is important. I think you do need to have some sort of like kind of stepping stone path in order to kind of build up your repertoire and your skill set as you follow through, right? But I also think that mindset is super important. I think anyone can get into hacking. You can go and sign up for Try Hack Me and this, that, and the third. But I think there's really that like mindset that's there that really kind of pushes you further and into like a more deeper, more successful career within cyber.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, so on that real quick, actually, this might be kind of a controversial statement, maybe, but I would recommend when learning almost anything to dive into it without a foundation first. And the reason for that is no matter what it is that you're learning, if you start learning the foundation of something first, that means you're taking instruction from someone else and they're shaping the way that you learn, the techniques that you learn, and that'll further shape how you do things in the future. Whereas I've been doing this for probably almost my whole life. A foundation is extremely important, but I think it's more important to dive into it by yourself first, because you look at things differently, right? You might take something from a different skill set that you've learned and then use that and apply it to whatever you're currently learning, and you'll find a different starting path minimum, depending on how far you're willing to take it yourself. But one compliment I've got a lot with a lot of like my Hack 5 payloads, for example, is that they're original. It's not like the same copy paste or modifications of existing ones. And that's because I actually don't even look at the other payloads in the repository. Like I do every once in a while. It's usually like when a friend uploads one, I'll go check out what they did. But I don't like go through the repositories and look what other people did and then try to make something based off of different parts, techniques, methods that I saw in other people's payloads. I have a programming background, and I think of an idea of how something can be done and then just pursue it. And instead of trying to build off of what someone else has done. So just recap, foundation is extremely important. I just don't think you should start with it.
I kind of like that because he's kind of saying like you need to like build your own foundation outside of like the kind of ones that are kind of sent towards you. You kind of build your own skill set and kind of your own creative mind around it, and you build your own, you know, foundation as you grow up through your own path.
Marcus, what's your opinion on?
Yeah, very interesting takes. I guess it makes sense, right? The foundation, like, you know, traditional training probably might limit your creativity or something like that at some point. So certainly interesting. I guess, you know, from a blue teaming side of things, the one thing that was always the hardest for me was finding the right kind of training materials, because and I think that's what differentiates a lot from red teaming to blue teaming. People can jump in red teaming and pen testing and hacking and this kind of stuff pretty easily, right? You just set up a Kali box, a Windows box, and start off. And so the setup is easier. The problem with blue teaming is mostly that, you know, first of all, you need something that has been compromised, and then you go in there and start investigating. And the realistic compromise is really hard to simulate. So there's, of course, you know, small steps you can take. You can learn a little bit of forensics here. You can do a little bit of threat intelligence there. Sysadmin is a great background because you just understand how things work. You know, speaking of foundations. But it's just you know, such a broad kind of area, and blue teaming, you know, there's so many different roles and specialties within, but you gotta have a little bit of everything, and it's hard to get the experience if you don't work in a field or in an area that, you know, gets you exposed to it frequently. So that kind of like catch-22, right? Because you can't just get in there without experience, but you need experience to get in there. So that's, you know, why I think starting off with the red teaming side of things, and that's why there's, you know, it's such a big hype around it too, because people can do a lot on their own to get their feet wet, to get experience. But eventually, for the more advanced people, you know, even when I train them up or coach them or whatever we're working on, I actually make them do the attacks themselves, because in my experience, that was always the most useful kind of lesson learned was, hey, this is how the attack actually works. And then I know better what to look for, how to analyze it, what artifacts, how to do the investigation, and what areas, and also why the attacker might have struggled, right? Like from a blue team side, you see artifacts, you follow the breadcrumbs, you figure things out, you know, there's some creativity involved, but most of the time you just don't even exactly understand what it looked like or what the attacker just had to go through to make this happen, like, you know, Mimikatz and all these common tools that are out there. Only if you use it, you better understand why they do that and what they try to accomplish, and then you can better mitigate, and you can also better analyze and find your ways throughout an investigation. So I love the background on both sides, for sure. You know, what makes a good analyst makes a good hacker, and vice versa, because you're just better aware of what the other side is looking for.
And so that's one of those things I like to look at too, is I'm very much in the belief that, like good knowledge in one side will easily lead to an even better performance on the other. I mean, if you know what blue team's doing, what they're doing to detect stuff, it makes it easier for you to, you know, create those payloads that are easier to slip through things. But if you also know what the red team's doing, what their common tools are, what their thought processes they go through, I very firmly believe that you can easily utilize, you know, those methods for detection as well. One of my favorite examples of that is MITRE, and utilizing the Lockheed Martin kill chain, going in and being able to detect something. You know, you find something in your network, well, once you detect where that's at, you then kind of shorten your list of what to expect, and piece by piece, you can find clues and really use that to distinguish who potentially or what attack methods they're using when it comes to APTs, but also using that as another way to, like, know to turn up certain stones. If they're using this attack platform, there's a chance they got in with this tool, so you go look under this stone. But also utilizing, you know, a MITRE attack framework for the attack side. You don't want to attack and be known as so-and-so, so you're going to utilize somebody else's methods. You've already got a roadmap laid out in front of you, so you take that and apply it and run with it. One thing I'm interested in, I know you mentioned like it is harder to find blue team material. It's I know nowadays it's a little easier. I've seen your course. I know Security Blue Team's done a lot of good stuff lately. Security Blue Team Labs Online, they've got some good stuff. But did you start as red, or have you always kind of just been sysadmin and blue team?
My background was actually more on the software developer side. I was always curious about security and pen testing, like like web app stuff 20 years ago, maybe. So, HTML and other kind of funny things that we were like playing around with. But I never really made it like professional in there. I was like on the software developer side of things. Then I joined a startup company that was building a platform, a security platform for incident response specifically. And that's where I really wanted to work for a security company, but I had the software developer background. So it was a great combination because I was actually not getting into the software team. I actually started off right away as a consultant, which was not the plan, but there was a demand there. There was a need. And I just all of a sudden was, jumping from different security organizations to the next, implementing the platform, understanding the processes better, adding tools, integrating tools into the SOC environments. And just, that was basically my step into getting the exposure of what a cybersecurity, like an operating center looks like, what the people look like. I had to understand processes because, we had to map those out and, build the tools that actually help the people to do their job more efficiently, detect things. And that kind of then startup got bought out. So by IBM, which made me then, within IBM move to the consulting team for incident response. I had no clue about forensics at that point, but there was a need there with my background, with the platform and everything that I brought to the table, that they were nice enough to hire me, to give me a chance. And so I had to basically, start as a DFIR consultant with zero forensics skills. It was just, I did understand the processes and the technologies behind some of those, big organizations, which was great. But still, when it comes to the detail, like the course that I just made was exactly what I wish that would have been there back then. I had to go through I had to wait a couple of years and go through a bunch of SANS trainings, and then hoping to be able to apply it rather sooner than later before I get everything again. So it was a tough time, but then you just basically got like pushed into these projects, and some were easy, some were harder, and then you just with your challenges you grow and you find more and you find more, and there's just so much tribal knowledge that people just attacks change, environments change, tools change. So much tribal knowledge within teams that I was always more like a fan of. Hey, can we document? Can we train our newcomers? And so I was a team lead. I was really passionate about getting basically all the new starters straight out of college on my team, because I saw when they had talent, when they were motivated, within a year or two, with all the exposure they got, they were doing better than most people with decades of experience, really, because they just learn so fast. So it was awesome to see that, and I was really passionate. So that kind of made me try to build some of those things that I was just missing out back then, and what I saw what was kind of important for everybody.
That's awesome. I do have some more questions before we move on to those questions real quick. Just going to shoot a reminder, everybody. The link is in there for donation is in the pinned comment. It's also in the description of the stream. Sorry about that. Just drew a blank for a second. Once again, all money is going to Hope from the Heart. They are a 100% non-for-profit. They've got all their information posted for non-for-profit if you want to check in on that. They're on their Facebook, but every bit of it helps. It goes directly to somebody who's fighting for cancer or fighting with cancer right now, helping their family, making sure they can receive the treatments they need, making sure their kids aren't going without food, supporting them in one way or another. They honestly do make a big difference. But yeah, thank you. I guess Zero Day, this one's going to come over to you. So, with you starting over in CTFs, how much of the stuff that you actually applied and used and learned when you were in CTFs actually directly carried over? I guess, what did you pull from it that really affected and was a usable tool during, actual real-world situations in your business? And
well, I guess it started with the competitive side of things. I just wanted to, at first it wasn't competitive. I started with Pen Tester Lab, and I was just trying to get myself updated with, new technologies and different methodologies that I may not have been aware of, a lot of things I learned in that process. Then after I finished the entirety of Pen Tester Lab, I didn't know where to go from there. I didn't even know that the CTF community existed. There was a bug bounty hunter, good friend of mine, Nafi, who recommended TryHackMe. And back when TryHackMe started, it wasn't geared towards learning. It was more of a user submitted challenge, and I was still Q&A'd all the challenges, but it was competitive in the beginning. Now it's more of a learning-based platform. So I guess my initial drive there was to compete with other hackers and see if I can flood a room first or get root first on a server, for those who don't know what flooding is. I guess what I learned, I guess, goes back to the pen tester lab statement. Just kind of brushing up on my abilities, and I did learn a ton of new things, and it keeps me in the know. I mean, let's say a CVE comes out. Good example would be log4shell. It's like within 30 minutes of that becoming a major thing, there was a TryHackMe room with a proof of concept for you to learn it. I guess that's how I benefit from CTFs. At this point, it's not really about doing CTFs for the fun of it. I'm kind of CTF'd out in life. I do them for fun, but I've been doing them for 2 years straight. So I want to get, like I said, starting this business and focusing on real pen testing and more is what I'm excited about now, rather than continuously doing CTFs. Because it's not that it's not fun, but it can get repetitive until things drastically change, like log4shell. Like if something like that comes out, then I'm excited again. So it could go back and forth for me.
So when you are talking about your CTFs and everything, how many actual CTFs like NomCon have you jumped into, performed in that way, where it's kind of multiple teams all at once in a set time frame? It sounds like yeah, go ahead.
I mean, my team specifically is not an official team. We kind of all have our own separate teams, and then we work on things together privately. We're not a official CTF team that you would find on CTF Time on the leaderboards for all the public events. So I would say all of them, but none officially as one solo unit. I kind of, for myself, I'm kind of like a one-man show with the CTFs.
Okay.
But my team, I just kind of rep BD squad, and it's just a funny term I made up, and we just go with it.
So I heard you talk a minute ago about kind of wanting to expand into your new stuff, your new business that you want to start into, and some of the stuff you've got going on. I kind of want to go around the table and just kind of hear what you guys have got, coming up. If you want to share any information about it, if you guys want to, throw out what you're working on. We kind of started with you 0 days, so if you want to go ahead and kick it off with, if you want to give more information on it.
Sorry, if you're talking to me, I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. I was saying, you mentioned a couple minutes ago about starting this new platform, wanting to transition out of CTFs and more into the pen tester business area and everything. Do you have any other projects that you're working on that you want to talk about, that, any new stuff? I know you do have, what is it? What is the link that you keep shared in your bio?
Reverse shells.
Yeah.
Oh, RevShells, yeah. RevShells is a website that I guess my team and I originally created to simplify the process of, generating a reverse shell payload, rather than going to the standard websites that, I've been taught for years and years to go to. You put your IP address in, it saves in local storage, saves the port, saves the shell of your choice. The listener, if you need that, MSF Venom payloads, simplify everything in regards to reverse shells and get a few bind shells. Rev shells, I did not expect it to be an industry standard, but based upon the very minimal analytics that I get from that, I think it's either Netlify or Netlify. I think it's Netlify though. Based on the all analytics that I get from there, because I don't have Google Analytics for people's privacy reasons. I just know unique visitors and page views, it's growing exponentially by the day, not even by the week. I mean, it's unbelievable how fast RevShells is growing. So if anybody's interested in that, if you're getting started in your CTF journey, or you need reverse shell payloads in the real world, which that's a whole different topic. I don't necessarily think you're going to be using reverse shells a lot unless you're using them as POCs in the real world. But revshells.com will be helpful in your CTF journey.
Awesome. So outside of the Pintest business you're wanting to start, is there like a gold standard project that you really want to build that you haven't started yet, waiting for the right resources to go into play? If you had to pick one thing to start right now, money wasn't a question, you could hire whatever team you wanted, what would that project look like?
To be honest with you, it would be exactly what I'm doing now. The product that I'm building with my team is the eventual goal is to automate as much of a red team engagement / pen test as possible. We're going to come out of the gate with an externally facing asset manager or / scanner, and then we're going to grow from there. But the goal is to automate, as much as you can. I mean, I do believe at some point AI is, the buzzword is going to be a thing that could help us one day, but I don't think humans are going to be replaced. The closest that I can get to that, I guess, if money and obstacles weren't a challenge, that would be the goal.
That's awesome. So, Cosmo, same question for you. What have you been working on recently? What do you got in the works right now? And then afterwards, I guess, what is your dream project? Money is not an obstacle, teams, resources, whatever. It's all at your disposal with one blank check. What would you build?
Yeah. So I'll just start small, kind of build up. What I've been working on a lot, dude. When I have free time, I just spend a lot of it learning and developing and creating a lot of the course material that you guys will hopefully be seeing soon. We have quite a few courses on the way. A really, really unique malware course. I won't share what it is just yet, but it is going to be a really cool course that we haven't really seen before within malware, at least what public facing. But it's a really, really cool course. It's probably one of my favorite ones I've been building out so far. So I'm very excited to launch that once it's kind of all compiled together. But outside of that, I've been taking a lot of courses as well, a lot of TCM stuff, trying to get some of my certs up and trying to free my free time when winter comes to do my CI, CISP, CISP, whatever you call it. So that's going to be kind of a lot of the winter. And then, yeah, dude, just tons of malware stuff, tons of crazy projects. If you guys ever catch me in Discord, because I'm always in there just working on random malware. It's a lot of fun. But for the dream project, if you couldn't guess, it's Cosmodium. Cosmodium has been the dream since I was like 17, which was like a year ago. But yeah, it's honestly how far it's come. Honestly, on its own is incredible. Been able to work with all these amazing people like Zero Day, Jacoby, Mark here, yourself, Matsi, Darren, all that, and be able to kind of build something and kind of progressively get further and further. Really being able to kind of like follow your dream and have a community here who's also like there around you to support you and who's interested to see like what you're doing, follow. It's cool. It's awesome. So yeah, that would be the dream.
That's awesome. Jacoby, what you been working on? What you want to build? What is your, top, no money in question? What do you want to do?
Well, currently, I'm still doing a lot of payload development. It's been a lot of content creation lately. So I've been working with Hack5. Low key, I haven't been talking about this too much, but I also just partnered with Lab 401. They're like the official reseller of Hack5 gear, Hacker Warehouse for Europe. I just did a video with them, low key, and that's dropping soon. I don't have a set date on it yet, but it is going to be a continued partnership, just making videos for the different devices they sell. So that's been pretty cool. I've had a couple other, I don't want to say it out loud, a couple other content creators reach out that hopefully I'm going to be collabing with. Zero Day up here being one of them. By the way, we should start that video soon.
Yeah, I'm ready
Um,
whenever you are. I have the
oh,
same partnership, but I'm not a content creator, so I gotta kind of piggyback off him.
I'm in the same situation. I'm trying to start from scratch because Lab 401 wants some stuff, and I'm like, I would love to. I guess I gotta start learning how to record videos and, editing stuff. So,
well, I've been making like, because I do everything from scratch. I do all my animations, all the illustrations, everything bottom to top. So a lot of people in the group, I'm helping them with their animations, just little things like logo stings, whatever else. Um, I've been doing some course creation, which, God, it takes so much effort. Like even my PowerShell for Hackers mini series I did, I buckled down for that one, and it ended up taking about 3 weeks. But I mean, I was working 8 hours a day, coming home and working on that course for at least 10 hours every single day for about a month, so I could put that out. Um, and it was like one of the most mentally draining things that I've ever done. And I'm a perfectionist too, so like it hurt my heart. But like when it finally came out and I had everything done and I started getting the feedback from it, that was probably the greatest feeling ever. Seeing like links to my courses on different websites, on forums, on the official Flipper site, they linked to my Flipper repo, which was nuts when I saw that. But that's pretty cool. I actually didn't know that our dude Blue down here was with TCM. I haven't got to speak with you much actually. I actually did just apply with TCM. I got to second place, unfortunately. Yeah, I got my email saying it came down to you and another person, and yeah, they went with the other person. But I didn't have super high hopes going into it. I didn't have as much confidence as I should have. But I'm really appreciative to actually make it that far. That was a big ego boost for me. But the end goal, the dream, no money, like I literally just want to make courses. Like it's really, really painful, but it's so incredibly rewarding. So I'm gonna keep trying to pursue that. And I have a PowerShell course and like a full PowerShell course because I did my mini PowerShell for Hackers mini series, but that was on like specific functions used to develop payloads. But people have been asking for the like, hey, beginner fundamentals, which we were talking about earlier. Now they want to know the fundamentals, so I'm making an actual ground up course. I'll do a beginner's course and then an advanced going over, the advanced functions and yada yada yada. But yeah, end goal would to be either with or to make a platform where I can develop courses on just everything that I've learned over the last 15 years.
Marcus, what's your what you've got going on right now? I know you finished your Windows Forensics course, which, by the way, anybody who hasn't taken that yet, it is a great course. I mean, even your website.
I already bought it.
Yeah, it's a great course, but even your website's got a lot of great resources. I know that website kind of pairs with it, but for anybody who hasn't taken the course yet, go over there. There's also some really amazing stuff just to start out with. Your outline for the Windows Forensics box is actually my go-to now. I've created my gold image, and it's based off of all the tools and stuff you've recommended, and that's what I base my environment off of now. So that's awesome. But enough fangirling here for a second. What projects you still got in the works right now? And same question goes to you. After that, what's your big no money, no questions asked? What project do you want to see come out?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's a mission accomplished, right? Because I really just wanted to share everything I've learned, like especially working in the corporate environment, and it's so hard for people to, like, don't get to see that. It's so hard to figure out where to start, what to do, what tools to use. But there's so much open source out there. So hearing that, it even helped you, potentially a couple others, to just get a better start off, like building the gold image for forensics and stuff like that. Because of that, yeah. I guess mission accomplished. That's awesome. It's great to hear. Feedback has been awesome so far too. I'm really surprised that everybody has liked it a lot, and that makes me definitely happy because that was the goal. I hear Jacoby and all the other ones saying how hard it is to create a course because it's just so much time and so much effort. And this video cutting thing was probably the worst time in my life. But now I'm really passionate about getting information out there too. So I guess it's part of the game. Right now, this course is helping a lot of people. Again, I wanted to actually do it as a side project, in the beginning, and it actually became so much that it made me quit my full-time job, which was a pretty good job. But I just thought, well, maybe let's pursue this for a little while and see where it goes. But the course, of course, it's pretty affordable, so it's not paying the bills basically for the entire year, but it has helped a lot of people. And what came out of it is now what I'm kind of looking for, what I'm doing, working on is working with people like individually and actually whole entire teams even. So far, I have like clients that are individuals, clients that are technical, not so technical, clients that are like state government teams, clients that are corporate, private sector teams that I just help with training them up in terms of what to do, what to look out for incident response specifically. So technical skills training, incident response program, and things along those lines. Because a lot of people just are looking for help, and it's pretty expensive to get help out there if you do it on a corporate level. So, but also that allows me to be pretty flexible, right? This is kind of my goal, was to kind of do it on my own way that I wish I was able to do when I was working in the corporate world. And the things, there were just much harder to get things done and pretty limiting and sometimes frustrating. Definitely lots of opportunities, of course, because you're working with the biggest clients and companies in the world. But still, this kind of more like looking at it from an entrepreneur side of things is definitely my preference. And so it allows me to do it the way how I think. It will help people, and I just continue to work with them. Individually, of course, there's more that I can record and automate so that it's getting easier and scaling better. But my ultimate idea or goal would be to have this one, really awesome training simulation platform out there for the blue team side that can, allow you to go through the real thing from start to finish. I know there's platforms out there. It's like kind of the one-offs of where, a little bit of this, learn like a skill here, a skill there. It's kind of just for hacking, right? You have so many little pieces here that you can pick up a million different courses and here and there, but one big comprehensive solution where you can go from start to finish is when you do investigations, kind of what's required. It just takes a lot of different skills to do an entire investigation, for example, right? There's like incident response, incident handling, digital forensics, threat intelligence, malware, reverse engineering, all these kind of little things are part of it. So totally, I love it, but it's, you need to know everything a little bit for sure. And then it's just all about the experience as well. And it's really hard to explain experience. You need to make him, sweat and go through this. Ideally in a safe environment and not in a real world case, because that's just a whole different level. But, that's it. There's only so much you can do. But I think there's more that we can certainly do in order, in terms of providing realistic training environments and platforms for people even that are not even working in the field yet, so that they experience what it takes and what to train up on.
Dude, if I can just interlude real quick, I honestly love it, because it's like you guys having this quote unquote community in this group, right? Hearing both Jacob and Mark talk about developing courses and how hard it is. Awesome. Appreciate it. But it's also cool to see we're able to kind of talk about that and all understand each other, which is kind of relaying it back to the whole community thing. Like, you viewers here, if you guys aren't in a community, find a friend, get together, make one, or everyone here has their own respective communities. At the end of the stream, I'll gather you guys' socials. I'll put in a pinned comment so anyone who's interested kind of find and reach out to you guys. But I think, again, it's super important to have a community you guys can really talk with and communicate with, because even here we're able to all understand what we're talking about. My friends outside here bully me all the time, talking about malware and like all these funny terms like pineapple. Like, what's a pineapple? Never mind. Right. But it's cool because it's these people you get to talk with here really understand and want to learn more off of what you're talking about. So I think it's really cool. Monty, I want you to also kind of answer the question you've been throwing about like what projects you're working on, like your no money dream team is.
Um, no money, no dream, or dream team, and all this stuff. It's not really a project. Well, it kind of is. I don't. It's a harder one for me to answer. I think right now I want to experience it all. Essentially, I want to go through and be able to be a part of everything. I got a question during an interview recently, and it was, what do you see your future job looking like? You know, what company, what position would you want? And the best way to answer it was, it's not one company and it's not one job. It's a series of experiences I want to be a part of. You know, I want to be a part of, well, I just got accepted to a SOC position, which is something I've wanted for a long time. You know, I want to go and do forensics. I want to be a part of the incident response. I want to eventually be a part of a proper red team just to experience that. I guess if I had, you know, to pick what that would be, it would be to do all that, see it all, kind of really just live through the experiences and be a part of it. That's really what I would want to do. I want to make a difference with it too, kind of document it in some way, make it a usable thing for people in a way that makes sense, something that they can learn from it. I mean, right now, a lot of this stuff, you don't want to be a part of a team to gain. Exactly. Said I want to be a part of a team to gain the experience. Exactly what it is. I want to learn from people who are better than me. I never want to walk into a place and not have somebody that I can learn from. It's why I like surrounding myself with a bunch of you guys, because honestly, there's areas, and Jacoby mentioned earlier, you know, there's certain people that he talks to and it makes him feel like he's a complete noob. And I love that. It's great. It's amazing. Yeah, I think that's probably my answer there.
I said this in a few, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go for it.
I said this in a few interviews, and it's basically what you said, but one way that I live my life is I grew up around, in a bad neighborhood with some, bad people. Not on the computer, just bad people in general. And they say, I'm sure everybody's heard the same quote, you are who you hang around. But another really good quote is, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong fucking room. And you should probably, it doesn't mean you don't, you have to get rid of those friends. But I would highly recommend that you try to find people that you can learn from, that you, because how are you benefiting other than maybe having fun every once in a while, by not learning anything from the people around you, whether it be for work or for life or for anything?
It's a good question. Here's a question I have for you too, and I do want to transition this to another question here in a couple minutes, but bringing up that topic, you're in the wrong room if you don't have anything to learn from somebody. What happens when you find yourself, I say this to you specifically because I see you as somebody that's very knowledgeable. Obviously, like you said, it was a very competitive platform when TryHackMe first came out. You at that one point, even now still, were considered very high up. Was it hard to still find yourself in rooms where you could, learn more? Did you have to transition over? I mean, how did you get out of that situation, I guess?
For me personally, that's a whole different story. Outside of computers and cybersecurity, the area that I grew up in had a lot of drugs and a lot of violence and crime. In the real world, not on the internet. And I guess when I was a teenager, which I'm 29 now, so a long time ago, I got mixed up with the wrong people for too long, and eventually that caught up to me, and then it caught up to me again. Then it caught up to me probably 5 more times. And when I was 17 years old, I got arrested. I was charged as an adult for drug offenses. I spent some time in jail and being charged as an adult. I got out of jail. I realized that was not the place for me. And so they call it recidivism when you go back to jail or prison, and the recidivism rate is high. I think it's something like 40 or 50%. Almost close to 50% of people that get in trouble end up back in jail or prison within some short period of time. For me, I didn't need to spend all that time locked up. I could have learned in 2 weeks, and I would have never gone back. But yeah, I guess to elaborate on that, it's for me to get myself in the right place and be around the right people. I actually had to get out of that environment altogether because where I was from, I didn't know anybody that knew anything about computers. I didn't know anyone who knew anything about business. Um, so unless I dealt with just the people that I knew online, which were a great help to me, and I valued them, they weren't in my life. They weren't with me every day. They weren't, I guess my role models, for better words. Uh, so yeah, I'm blessed that I was able to go through very difficult times. That some of them I put onto myself, but I'm also blessed to have learned the hard way, and now I know what not to do. And I continue to get to work on that every day. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything, and it's still a journey for me. I'm still learning every day, and I'm still trying to find new people and to network with to uh, to further not just me but my team and my friends. It sucks to be very successful and alone. So if you do if you do hang around like I was saying in the beginning and like everybody else would say, I'm sure you find those right people, you find a successful group where you can learn from, that you can build a career out of, or you can start your own business out of. Um, don't don't distance yourself after you've gotten everything you need selfishly, because you could be the richest man in the world, or what for anything, and be very lonely.
That's very true.
It is. One of the comments that came in through the chat was, is there a chance by only taking courses can you get a job? Referencing specifically with Udemy, TCM, TryHackMe, so on. Or do you need to go to kind of bigger certifications like CompTIA and everything? I know personally, as somebody who holds certificates and who takes classes and everything at the same time, I don't think that the certificates, the actual courses such as CompTIA, are really going to be as crucial when you're first starting. I do think that they're good for the competitive edge later. But here's the real test that I see it is if you're going for a company and they want to hire you for a specific job, you have that knowledge, they're going to test that knowledge. They're not just going to look to see if you have a certificate over it. They'll put you in a situation, ask you questions, usually stick you and allow you to present that knowledge in the way that you know it. It definitely is, like I said, a competitive edge when it comes to the job field, but I don't see there being really an issue with you taking courses and learning that material through something like TCM and applying it there. If a company is willing to turn you down simply because you don't have a specific certificate of this sort of thing, may not be the right environment for you. If you find that is holding you back, I would say at that point, try to pursue certificate. A lot of
And that's
country
specific too. I mean, some countries, for example, like Certified Ethical Hacker, CEH, doesn't really mean much in the United States, whereas there could be more countries, but one I'm familiar with is India. CEH is like almost a requirement from what I've been told by many people. In the United States, it's looked at as nothing. So I guess it's subjective to opinion and location. As a business owner that's hired outside of InfoSec and hired, clinicians and obviously doctors need to have gone to college and have to be licensed. There's no choice there. But people that want to work in the field, let's say at a mental health facility, they're a case manager, or they're a behavioral health technician, or the executive director of the facility, even, let's say, they don't need any college education. So where that leads me to as a business owner that managed hundreds of people, when I would make decisions on hiring, or the people working on my team would make decisions based upon, it wouldn't, for the most part, be based upon their certifications or which courses they've taken. It was their network actually was a lot more important than the piece of paper or the certification. Because I personally know a ton of people that have master's degrees in computer science, for example, and they don't know anything about a computer. So I'm not telling you that at college or at university or, it's a different word for every country. But I can't say that it's worthless, because I don't think that it is, but I think that everybody is different, and I do believe personally that your network is the most important thing. And then second to that is your actions. If you are public about what you do, showing what you can do, and not just saying it it holds weight.
Marcus, as someone who has worked in that industry, as someone who's been a team manager who's hired like that, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand what's going on behind the scenes, right? So I had made two experiences. One was working for a huge corporation where everything was like the most corporate way possible. And also I initially got hired through a startup company. So the one thing to think about is, how can you stick out? How can you make yourself be known for to the people that are relevant? So mostly comes down to networking. But for example, what I always recommend is, although there might be these top 10 companies out there with thousands of employees that are hiring for this one position that hundreds of people are trying to get into, chances are pretty low, because it's not because they don't like you, it's because out of a couple hundred people, it's really hard to get selected. And if you not this still will encourage people to submit their resumes and see if they can get in there. Nowadays, I guess the resume, if you understand the corporate process, there's there's so much automation, parsing resumes before it even gets to recruiter. Recruiter is reviewing it. The recruiter is selecting out a few of those, getting to the hiring manager, and only then when you get to the hiring manager, you actually get invited to have a call to actually start talking to them, and then it really comes down again to what do you know. So you always have the chance to explain and show what you know once you get the phone interview. But in order to get to the phone interviews, you need to get through this whole process of resume parsing and other kind of whatever kind of processes are in place there in the corporate world. So that's kind of hard, and of course you gotta always customize your resume according to the job description, because the more keywords you can match, the better. So that's certainly one of the experiences I've seen and made. Once you're interviewing, just be you. When I hired was mostly these people that were authentic, and they were legitimately interested and curious and open to say, I don't know that, but I know this and that, when they didn't know an answer. That just stuck with, because if you're going to be their team manager, you want to have them acknowledge, hey, this is what I know, this is what I don't know, so you know what to work on, what to do, how to help them. But on the other side, I love to encourage people to apply for smaller companies, startup companies, security vendors, for example, because when you submit your resume there, what happened to me, for example, was it literally went to the mailbox of the VP of engineering. There was no HR process, there was no even any HR in the way. It was just, hey, this person just saw that I could be somebody that can help them fill this position, and I got an email back, and then we were on the phone, and then we just talked about things. So it was definitely helpful to know somebody who gets you in there. It was definitely helpful to get in somebody's inbox right away. And then, be creative. Look for startups, look for companies that are smaller, that do not have such a bureaucratic process, so that you can get, known and seen and invited to a phone call much easier.
So for the intro jobs, though, just getting started, something like that, I believe that you could enter in just with interest, like you said, curiosity, true, interest and love for the field. Is that something you guys have seen, I guess, in your own personal situations? I think just for starting, definitely jump in.
You're talking about hiring, when it comes to hiring?
Well, yeah, I think the question is more or less for their first job entry. I want to start out. Can I start out with no certificates? Can I start out with just learning courses, getting in there, and this, that, and the third?
Yeah.
And so I think that's, especially if you're starting in general IT, for most people, in my opinion, just put it out there real quick, is if you're going to start in security, I think you should at least start first in some sort of IT. even if you're just going to do desktop support for a little while, I definitely do think it's a good idea to have some of that under your belt beforehand and then transition over by all means. But I mean, starting something like that, I can tell you just from my experience, you don't, just, intro IT, you don't need a cert. It helps in the hiring process, but you can do it without. But transition to security, like they said, as you start getting to certain higher level companies, as you start to get into bigger companies, you'll definitely start to find that they're filtering out for those keywords. They're trying to find people who match, the biggest list of descriptions, that wish list for their perfect candidate. But I think for entry level, you could definitely jump in with nothing and still find footing somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, to add on to this, actually, I think the most important part is getting your foot in the door, right? It's just not so much about like, don't overcomplicate the process of like finding the perfect position and all of a sudden like hundreds of people are applying for it as well. Just get your foot in the door, because once you're within a company, you can move internally much easier, and you get to know the in and outs, and you actually might see roles and positions and jobs that you might not even heard about before, because they come and go in cyber, especially. So just get in there, and then from there it's easier to find and try and like move to the team that might look even more interesting for your future career.
So one big question that I want to kind of end off on before we go, specialization or generalization when it comes to your skills. I know a lot of us here have kind of a select area, whether that be forensics, payload development, Cosmo, make some crazy malware. Zero Day, you just kind of do it all, don't you? I mean, you're really just kind of killing everything all at once.
I'm all over the place for sure. Yeah, I guess the way to explain it for me is we would need to do another video, because there's a lot of topics, and I touch on a lot of them.
So
Competitive hacking would be fair to say.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And as for some things like like working in the field, red teaming, pen testing, and stuff like that, I personally haven't formally done any of that. So I have a different story than most in this industry. It doesn't mean they're better or worse or anything. That's not what I mean. But I just mean it's a little bit different approach.
So, do you guys, I guess, for those of you who can speak on it, do you recommend the generalization approach? I mean, we talked about it the other day, or actually you mentioned it here when we started talking about it. It's so much easier to find hacking content. You can go in, how to hack, and watch an 8-hour video that'll show you all these different topics and this, that, and the third. Do you think it's a good idea to still study up in, well, obviously stay relevant in the generalized stuff, but do you think it's a bad idea to fall down a rabbit hole and focus on one particular thing?
No, I don't. I think it's important when you start off to kind of explore, because when you like people like, oh, hacking, like they think of like Mr. Robot, Watch Dogs, and all that. I think it's important for people when they first enter to really get to experience all of the like crazy domains of cyber, whether it be malware, web hacking, blue teaming, red teaming, competitive hacking, payload development, like all of that. It's so broad, and I don't think it should just be like constrained and stuff like that. So I think people should be freely able to explore. However, there is that saying like knower of all, master of none, or something like that.
Jack of
So
all
I
trades,
think
master of none.
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I think it is important, definitely to explore. But once you find something that kind of hits your heart's content, you kind of, I would say, dive into it. Really learn it and like know it and be like specialize in it. I think one hacker a lot of us can contest to is John Hammond. I'm sure a lot of you have seen his content, and the way when he's working on CTFs and stuff, like he knows his operating system and like how to make his own tools build like on the spot. Like he's analyzing malware. All right, let me just make this tool real quick in Python. He spends like 7 minutes of the stream just building it out, and then boom. You know what I mean? Like even though he knows a lot, and a lot of those things can like come in and help and benefit his own skill, I think there's an area where when you really start to specialize in one area, I think that's like where you really can take off. And I think all of us here have a kind of an area that we specialized in, and because we specialized in it, we were able to really like succeed because of it. Whether it's like the courses we make on it or content, just reputation based off of it, anything like that.
Marcus, what do you think as someone who's kind of got your own specialty, someone who's been in the industry with that specialty?
Yeah, definitely think there's a place for both, but with the idea of being flexible, like when it comes to future uh, specializations, because it's just incident response, digital forensics, and incident response. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of skills, different types of skills that you might need, and for each one of those, there's probably one in your team that actually is like specialized on it. So malware reverse engineering is not something I know much of, but it can get away with just extracting stuff that I need to continue with the investigation, and the rest is like shipped over to a malware analyst, for example. Same thing for other stuff, but I think the one thing is you gotta be a generalist in terms of continue to understand the environments, the technology that come up, because there used to be this concept of the very traditional forensic analysts, dead box forensics, that's about it. Now we have to do forensic at scale. Now the next thing now is you can't get around the cloud anymore. So now all of a sudden you need to do digital forensics, incident response, apply it in the cloud, where the skills or the expertise is a little different. So you actually need to be able to handle that as well. And I think that just continues, and where cloud environments are significantly different than as opposed to on-premises environments. So that's just something that keeps on going, and you will always probably find things that you like or don't like so much. So you probably will focus more on one area than another, but generally it just continues to change and to progress, and you probably will need to stay up to date, especially in a red teaming side. I would assume same thing. So you constantly need to learn and keep your skills sharp.
Jacoby, are you still here, or are you frozen over there? You're muted.
You're muted.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely good to specialize. It's really important. Something that a lot of people don't, you really don't understand how much one skill can apply over to another one. Like, if trying to explain it in like a super simple way, something I was super passionate about when I was younger was magic. It was just something that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I definitely didn't realize at the time how much that would carry over to something like social engineering, just the psychology behind it. But that goes for pretty much anything, even if you have like just a minimal amount of knowledge in another field. The ways that you wouldn't even think that it would apply over, it's pretty crazy sometimes. But it's one of those things that you don't know if you don't know. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So definitely generalize, even if you're just learning the basics of other fields. Just one of the tactics that is used in another field might apply over to whatever your main is, whether it's like our dev for Cosmo, or for me payload development. Like, just knowing networking, even a minimal amount of networking, is how we build payloads that target that, just because of concepts that I thought of or anything along those lines. So definitely I would prefer to be a jack of all trades over a specialist, but if you be a jack of all trades with a specialist leaning attitude, I think that's the best.
It definitely makes a good point. Cosmo, with you, kind of mentioned malware dev and everything being your specialty. You've already kind of mentioned, I think, on that generalist. Do you have anything you want to add on that, or?
No, he pretty hit it, pretty much hit out the ballpark. I think, there's so many things that you'll come across, and like just having that generalization of knowledge is very important. And I think, but with kind of, I guess to kind of add on to that is like when you still have that specialization, all that general knowledge kind of comes around and applies to that specialization of yours. Like random things we'll learn, we'll see on YouTube, or things like an InfoSec Twitter, will all kind of pop up and we'll be like, huh, I can use this for XYZ, while someone else is going to use it within their own specialty. You know what I mean? While Jacoby might build a payload off of it, I might build some sort of malware to exploit it, right? And even though they're targeting the same system, they're two different, kind of variants, if you will. So I think it's kind of cool within that sense. Just that generalization knowledge. I guess a question I have for you guys is just kind of like what your milestones are, like kind of from here, kind of seeing where you guys will be kind of next year. I know we just hit 1,000 members on the website, so that was kind of a really cool event for us. So kind of going forward next year, I'd like to see like just more courses and like a bigger kind of community that we're kind of building here. But yeah, I'm curious about what you guys have planned.
Well, I
You
think
want me to start there?
yeah.
Okay, well, I guess just I have a lot of milestones outside of the project that I've recently brought up. But one major milestone would be to launch my company and get it in the hands of a ton of small businesses. And I have a financial goal, but bare minimum, what I've learned is actually whether I agree with him on some things or other things I don't. Steve Jobs said that if you can get 100 people to love you, then you're guaranteed to be successful. I think I might have butchered the quote a little bit, but if you can get 100 people to love you, then you're in a good spot, I guess. And my goal is to get 100 clients in the first 12 months of launch at the bare minimum. And that's my first milestone, and then I'm sure they'll progressively get bigger, like everything has in my life. I mean, I've always set small goals, and then my small goals turn into ridiculous, outlandish goals, and if I even hit 50% of what I was expecting, I'm happy with that.
That's awesome. Jacoby?
Of course, continuing to develop more courses. Maybe actually, if we're saying a year from now, I'd like to have maybe 2 to 3 finished courses. And then, of course, work for 0 Days Company over here.
Let's go.
That's a good one. I think I would like to start my family finally. Kind of carry on. It's a little outside of cyber and everything, but I really do want to start having kids. Kind of see that next generation pay out and everything, and continue to try to do what I'm doing. I finally found a spot where I love what I do. I'm transitioning and got the big opportunity for a career that I wanted. I've kind of gotten to that point now where I'm not seeing any super big milestones. At this point, I can sit back and enjoy where I'm at, love what I do, and kind of transition less from the career side, but more to my family side. Kids are my big thing. I really would like to see that.
Ooh, Cosmo is just
Yeah, I'm
in the
seeing.
chat.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Marcus, what you got for your?
Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to-
no, he left.
Ask him to come back so that your friends can see.
Yeah, can you do that?
Okay.
What you got, Marcus? What do you see, or what's your big milestone next year?
Well, first of all, good luck with your goals.
Thank you.
I just I'm going through this process of like experiencing how it is to have like a 9-month-old baby. So it's a very interesting time on top of everything else. Definitely make sure you have like enough time, or like and on the business side of things to be on the right, you should be on the right place for that. So otherwise, might make things a little hard. But yeah, no, good times for sure. And for me, just starting. Just having started a company this year, of course, I would like to see it, grow and scale and be in a even bigger better shape next year with ultimately a number of additional courses or services that are just help just exactly fitting into this picture of like what people need to help them get better, train up skills, progress with their careers. So working on a couple of ideas and initiatives right there, but certainly, everything in a bigger scale and still be around next year, that would be great.
That's awesome. I want to thank you guys all again for coming here, and I want to thank you guys for the donations. The love that you guys have shown here. Just to kind of recap, if you guys are not in a place where you can donate, that's still okay. There still is ways to help over on the Facebook page. The link was posted up a while ago. You can go in, like as many of the posts as you want. There's one post in particular I'm going to ask you to focus on. It's specifically, here's our phone number. If you need help, call here. The donation link is also in the description of the video. It's the pinned comment there at the top. Every bit of what's going to happen, or what goes to them, is going to help somebody who's fighting for cancer, help their family. They're truly amazing people, and I know none of them can be on right now. They've all got stuff going on with family, but I hope that they get to see this later. If you guys are listening to this right now, I would like to say thank you from Hope for the Heart.
Oh gosh.
Thank you Thank you to Hope for the Heart for everything that you've done, for all the families you've helped, and thank you for the family that you've sorry, hold on a second. All right, you wanna let Banana Man head out for a second? Thank you, Banana. Thank you. Okay. Now.
My existence is a key. Put the shorts on.
All right. From the top again, I want to thank Hope for everything you've done for our family and for the community that's around us. I hope that the donations that were sent tonight and the support that people have given you guys over on your page can help you guys reach more people and help more families. Thank you for everything, and thank you for everybody who showed up here tonight. Thank you for all of you who are here in this call, and it's been great, honestly.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for joining, despite the interruption. This is obviously about a really important cause, and I'm very grateful to all of you who were able to come here, and I hope to continue this next year, kind of gradually make it better and better as we go. So yeah, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you guys, and real quick, it's kind of an off topic, obviously interruption. For those of you who don't know, Banana has now interrupted a different Banana, both streams. Last year we had Banana who came in and decided to make the thing kind of a bit of a joke, but now we've got a legitimate man in a banana suit who showed up to interrupt that last part. So it's it's great.
This has to be a tradition now.
I guess
Bananas interrupting the streams.
Next year we're doing it all in banana suits. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
All right, but seriously, thank you all. Lots of love. I appreciate everything you guys have done, and happy hacking.
Happy hacking.
Thank you, guys.